Hi, I'm Dark Steel, and this is another Prepper Friday rant. Thank you for joining us today. I'm actually going to go with the way we've been doing it for a lot of my videos, and do a lot of it on the computer this time around, because I found an article that I can really relate to on some recent experiences, and if you've been watching my videos all along, then you'll know what I'm talking about here, and if not, you might go check them out, but I think you'll be able to catch up anyway, even if you don't want to do that. So without any further ado, I think we'll just get into this, but this is going to be pretty good, and I hope it starts kind of a conversation with us in the comments, and I want to take it from there. Also, stick around to the end of the video where I will do a prepper tip of the week, and that's it. Let's move on over here. Okay, so this article I found it on morethanjustsurviving.com, which, by the way, guys, if you haven't ever heard of this one before, I'm going to link this article in the description. But you should check out the entire website, More Than Just Surviving. There's a whole bunch of different articles on all kinds of different subjects, and it really I use this a lot to kind of just get me thinking of new things, because it's hard to think of everything on your own. And so to just kind of find interesting topics and stuff like that, there's all kinds of stuff on this website that can help fill in some of the gaps that maybe you hadn't thought of. So anyway, like I said, I'll link this in the description. Check out the full website for more. Prepper lessons. What mistakes have you made and learned from? While I haven't been prepping for very long compared to most of you, I'd like to think that I learned quite a lot over the years through mistakes that I've made with prepping. Honestly, mistakes make some of the most valuable lessons resonate with you, even when you probably know better to begin with. I feel that getting something wrong often pushes you to be better in the long term, and that they can ultimately be more positive than never having your plans tested. I completely agree with that. I have learned a lot through my mistakes, and I am absolutely certain that there's 1,000 more mistakes on their way as far as our prepper plan and all of that. And it's important that we get these things out of the way now before it's a complete and total SHTF situation, in which case you are at the whims of your own prepper plan, and if there are holes in it, that could be absolutely disastrous. So, I've learned so many things along the way that it's hard to imagine that I'd be able to write every mistake and every lesson learned. But I will tell you, hands down, my biggest lesson from the experience Thomas and I had back in 2013 when the power grid went down for 5 nights, 4 days in sub-zero Canadian weather. This was not a fun experience, but thanks to friendly neighbors, the experience wasn't even close to as bad as it could have been. What's ironic is that the biggest lesson that I learned from the entire situation is one that has always been very obvious to me. Doesn't matter what you plan to do, if you don't actually do it, when the SHTF or an emergency situation happens, intentions mean nothing. And that's very important. If you're not already activating all of your plans, it doesn't really matter what you've got, in the back of your brain. You need to already have your plans in place, the practice in place, the whatever it is that you're planning on doing, you need to get done, because all of the little jobs that aren't getting done are going to be a hindrance to you later if you end up needing them, if you end up having to rely on them. Again, super obvious lesson. No one in their right mind hasn't already figured this out. Still, being the kind of person who really likes to save money, likes buying things on discount, likes to plan ahead, but doesn't always execute those plans quickly, this can be a really problematic lesson to make sure that I live up to. Thomas and I thought a lot about winter survival and Toronto power outages in the winter before the outage happened. We had plans to do a lot of things that never got done. Then, when the outage happened, well, obviously, we essentially got caught with our pants down. Considering that we were preppers who were ill-prepared, I was annoyed with myself, but I wrote about my experience anyway, because I didn't want to forget about the experience or the poignancy of the lesson learned. I stopped pretending that I had an infinite amount of time to prep for emergencies, did what I could to extract as much out of the non-ideal experience as possible, wrote up a list of winter emergency supplies that would have made the experience a lot easier while the experience was fresh in my mind, bought what I needed, and moved on. Now I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever had an experience where you made a small or big mistake with prepping? What did the mistake teach you? Okay, so that actually is, I want to take that question on from here, and I'm going to read the comments real quick. I'm just going to skim over this. You can read the rest of the article on your own. Like I said, I will post it. But I'm going to go down into those comments and see what anybody said, but I want you guys, my viewers, to tell me if there's a mistake that you've made that you learned from, so that we can carry this conversation on into this video's comments and kind of benefit from the lesson learned here, kind of benefit from the lessons learned of other ones, because ultimately what I've been saying all along is that if we remove competition, we become stronger. We should all be working together to help so that maybe you don't have to have the same mistakes I did, and so on and so forth. So let's help each other out here. So yeah, let's carry this conversation down into the comments and let's talk about what mistakes we've made personally. Now, I'm gonna start this ball rolling. We succeeded in a lot of areas recently. We really pretty much killed it recently when the power started messing up. Like I said, you can go check out my other videos to find out a little bit more about what was going on there and everything. But we definitely learned some lessons about some things, and some immediate things that we're going to try and get done is we're going to try and put in a hand pump for our well, because when the power went out, we had to haul buckets up and down the hill to get water that we needed just to do our essential everyday chores, something that could have been avoided if we had a secondary pump system in place. So that's something that we learned from the mistake of having just our electric pump in our well. Like I said, we lived pretty comfortably, but we lived on a finite timeline. There's only so long we could have kept that up and actually gotten anything done. And I think the basis of it is there's a bunch of little tiny things that if we go around tightening up, if we go around fixing, then we can streamline what our workday looked like for that time period using what we found to be true. We can streamline what our day looked like and actually get a lot more done by figuring out easier ways to do each of the tasks that we had to do to complete our daily chores, and therefore open up more of the day, exhaust ourselves less, and be able to get more progress out of a day. Now I think we'll go over to the prepper tip of the week. So for today's prepper tip, I thought we'd just take a little walk in the woods, and just for no other reason than that I wanted to. The prepper tip of the week is based on bugging out. Now personally, and this is just my personal opinion, and I'm not trying to change yours on anything, but personally I think bugging out is a last-ditch effort for survival and should be used as such, and that it's not as good of a plan as bugging in for long-term survival. It should be your emergency escape route. It should be your plan to get out if you have to, but should not be your primary survival plan. Having that said, if you have a solid bug-in location, because the location could be compromised, and there's no location on Earth, there's no object or possession on Earth worth you or your family's lives. And so you just get out of there and you take off. But that is as good as killing yourself. It's as good as putting an end to your prepper plan if you don't take proper precautions into mind. So some things that you got to do. These are things that you should do right now and always have ready. Map out where you're going to go. If you don't have a bug out location planned, then you're just wandering the wilderness alone. That's not a plan. So map out where you're going to go. Think about what it is that you're going to need. Limit that absolutely as much as possible. I walk around with a knife belt and a few other basic essentials in a side pouch that allow me to wear them all the time, not go grab my bug out bag, wear them all the time, and if I have to run off into the woods in a moment's notice, I've got the bare essentials. Now, you can have a bug out bag with a lot more in it that is you go and grab it. But if you're forced to run with a moment's notice, or you're not anywhere near your bug out bag at the time that you are forced to run, and I don't care how good of a survivalist you are, you can't plan for everything. You will end up with whatever you happen to have on you. So make sure that what you have on you is the bare essentials. You don't need a belt absolutely full of knives. You don't need spare gadgets. What you need is intellect. What you need is skill. And then a few things to help that skill along. But honestly, people survived a much harsher world with nothing but their 2 hands, their survival skills, a couple of rocks and sticks. You can do it too. So, what you need on you is really, what it comes down to is that a go bag, your prepper tools, all of that, those are luxuries. What you need is your own mind. What you need is the ability to survive without all of that stuff. And then everything else is icing on the cake. So in summation, all I'm saying is that what you need is to know where you're going, to know what to do while you're getting there, to know what to do when you get there. Carry on you as little as you can, but always, whatever it is that you believe that you're going to need, always have it on you. Never be disarmed, and try your hardest to not have to bug out. That's basically my prepper tip of the week. Okay, and that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to start trying to do a little bit more on this channel. I've only been posting like periodically, and I'm going to try and do a little bit better. I have at least been putting up 1 a week, and so there's that. And like I said, I'm going to try and do a little bit more. My other channel, Dark Steel Knives, is kind of taken off on me, and so I've been focusing a lot of work over there. But on top of that, I've had other things going on, working offline and everything. So now that a lot of that is kind of settling down and everything, I'm going to try and focus on both channels. But if you are a YouTuber, you can you either know or can imagine the strain put on a person trying to run 2 YouTube channels successfully and trying to keep up a good pace. And so bear with me a little bit, but I haven't had any trouble so far, at very least, putting a video a week on both channels. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for watching this video. Like it if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Continue that conversation we talked about earlier. You can become a patron on my Patreon to be able to support me a little bit better. You can go check out my other channel. You can find me on pretty much any social media, and if there's one missing, let me know about it, and I might go about fixing that. But until next time, thanks.